what was done in the OPTIC study was an interim analysis first that was presented last year, and there was a primary data that was presented this year as well, both at ASCO and EHA. And all of these presentations garnered oral presentations. And what's going to be presented this year at ASH is a subset analysis of that data. And to take a step back on the subset analysis, maybe tell you a little bit about what the OPTIC study found was that using this response-based dosing regimen, the 45 to 50 milligram dose reduction strategy was the most optimal way to treat patients to get the maximum benefit while mitigating any safety concerns, especially related to arteriocclusive events. And so what this secondary analysis does is really dives deeper into this data set and looks at the subpopulations of patients that were within it. So let me give you a little bit of a granular answer there. So the OPTIC study actually, even though it was intended for intolerant and resistant patients, almost all the patients accrued for the study are resistant patients. And this resistance can be subdivided into two groups. One is highly resistant patients, which means that they haven't even achieved a 10% BCR-ABL level with their prior TKI, or less resistant disease, which is, again, they're still resistant, but they're less resistant because they have a BCR-ABL achievement of 10 to 1, higher than 1% with the prior TKI. What was observed in the subset analysis was that the patients who have highly resistant disease benefited from mostly from the 45 milligram to 50 milligram dose reduction. And, there were response rates of 50% that was observed in this patient population with the 45 milligram dose reduction strategy. And patients with less resistant disease, that more than 1% to 10% disease, actually had response rates of 70% all the way going up to 75%, both in the 45 milligram arm and the 30 milligram arm, showing that, there are many ways to kind of treat with the drug, but really the optimal benefit risk is going to be achieved by the 45 milligram to 50 milligram dose reduction strategy. And another element of the analysis was also looking at by mutation. So as I mentioned to you, this was a resistant population that got accrued to the OPTIC trial, and the resistant population can be divided into three groups. One with this highly resistant mutation called TT15I, or one with resistant mutations in the BCR-ABL domain that are other than TT15I. And the other group is actually patients who don't have any mutations at all in the BCR-ABL domain. These patients are actually especially interesting because they do have resistance, but they're driven by other mechanisms. What was shown in the OPTIC trial was that all three of these groups did benefit from all three of these dosing regimens, but the highest benefit risk, again, was achieved by their 45 milligram starting dose reducing to 15 milligram upon reaching that BCR-ABL 1%. And the patients also achieved long-term survival outcomes such as PFS and OS as well. And especially for TT15I patients, this 45 milligram dosing regimen was quite important.